Hello, welcome to Immersed Robot, and in this video I'm trying out Robinson the Journey in the Pimax CRYSTAL. And well, today we were supposed to be recording the Recentered podcast, but that's been delayed for a day, so we're going to be recording that tomorrow now. So I was a bit at a loose end, and I thought I'd go back in and try an older title. It's sometimes interesting actually when you get a new piece of hardware like the Pimax CRYSTAL or any upgrade over your old VR headset. It's sometimes interesting just to go into these old titles and see how they look and, you know, the difference. Because when you've got something like this, Robinson the Journey, which was a stunning game back in 2016 when it was released, first on the PSVR, now with all this extra technology that we've got, with all these higher resolution displays, they carry over really well, and this looks great. In the original PSVR, it was very blurry. It's still, you know, still a great looking game, but this looks stunningly good in the Pimax CRYSTAL. But there are some limitations actually which I discovered with this, and I forgot all about this, but when it was released on Steam, I'll go into settings just so you can see, but I've got it running on the maximum graphical settings that I can. So resolution scale is on 2.0, shadow quality on high, everything's on high. Anti-aliasing I've got it on normal only because temporal anti-aliasing really adds a layer of blur to everything in this game, which I really don't like. So the normal level of anti-aliasing is fine, although you can't change anything beyond that. It overrides Steam VR resolution scaling. So I've tried changing it up to 200% or all the way down to 20%. Doesn't make any difference in game at all. So you're sort of relying on the resolution scaling within the in-game settings, which is great. You know, this looks fantastic in the Pimax CRYSTAL. It's the best I've seen it. It looks really clear, really sharp. But you might notice even on the footage there is a bit of flickering, a bit of pixel crawl on the edges of the foliage in places, and we are running at a rock solid 90 FPS in this. I might start FPS VR just to show you that. I don't know if the footage will show it or not, but it is rock solid 90. And if I just had the option to push up that resolution a little bit more, I know I could still maintain this level of performance but get it looking that little bit better. It would be great. And maybe there's a INI file or something like that I can do to manually override the in-game resolution. I'm not sure. I've not looked into that yet, but that might be something I could look into, because that would be great if we could do that. But let me get FPS VR overlay running anyway, because I'll be interested. I know it's running at 90, I can tell that, but let's just get the numbers up anyway quickly so we can see. Okay, so there we are now. You can see it yourselves. We've got plenty of headroom. I could ramp up this resolution even more. Don't get me wrong, it looks great, but I would just love to push it up that little bit extra. Plenty of headroom to do that. And look at the resolution. Well, the Steam VR resolution setting that is on there, we are on 100% at the moment, but like I say, it doesn't make any difference in game anyway. But yeah, 90 frames per second, absolutely rock solid, and it looks stunning. So this is sort of a really good candidate to go back and revisit with the better headsets, because the colours look really vibrant in the Pimax CRYSTAL as well. And this is a great game. If you've not played this, it is a great game, but it's sort of a little bit antiquated in the world of sort of VR game mechanics and things like that. You'll notice I am playing with a gamepad seated in this, and that's not like me. With this type of game, I will usually always play with motion controllers standing, because I'm supposed to be standing in game, and that's how I like to do the play games in VR. If I'm standing in the game, then I like to be standing in real life. But this game really was designed around the gamepad when it was first released on the PSVR, so I don't actually mind it too much. And although it does support motion controllers, the actual interaction isn't great. You do get hand presence, but you can't really interact with things in the usual way you can in VR, mainly because it was designed around that gamepad interaction. So the other thing with the motion controllers, because I did try them briefly, is that there's this bug in this game, and it doesn't just affect the Pimax, it affects some other controllers as well, where it reverses the hand position. So the left hand behaves as the right behaves as the left, and it's very frustrating. You can't really play it that way, honestly. And I think this happened on the Vive or maybe the Index in this game. And I think it was something to do, if memory serves, it's the order that you turn the controllers on. But I've tried turning the controllers off with the Pimax CRYSTAL and then on in different configurations, and nothing works. They're always reversed in this game, so a little bit frustrating and something I just need to look into. I'm sure there's a way around it. I just couldn't find it today. So I am playing seated in a gamepad, but I just wanted to see really what it looked like. And yeah, this is another one that would be worth visiting if anybody gets Pimax CRYSTAL. Let me get rid of the FPS overlay anyway. There we go. So FPS VR overlay is gone now anyway. It was just blocking the view really. And it does look really stunningly good, this game. This is made by Crytek, of course. And environmentally, it's just absolutely fantastic. It's sort of the closest thing, I suppose, we've got on the PC to something like Call of the Mountain. I'm not suggesting it looks as good as Call of the Mountain, apart from the resolution, of course. But it still looks great. And I mentioned when I went around Paradise Decay's house to try the PSVR 2, and I was in Call of the Mountain, I was just sort of thinking, wouldn't it be great to get a true open world with that level of detail and fidelity on there, within an open world game, the same level of graphical fidelity and detail. And this makes me think of the same thing. Like, imagine a Skyrim game that looked like this, and you could go anywhere, because this is actually quite a linear game. It's not an open world at all, but this opening area is fantastic, really sci-fi. You've got the crashed space station there in the distance. You're on this weird planet where there's dinosaurs and stuff. It's just a really good VR game, albeit one that does have sort of slightly older VR mechanics, which is sort of the limiting factor really. But yeah, 2016 game, still really worth looking at. And this is just one of titles that I want to go back and try in the Pimax CRYSTAL. As I mentioned, you get a new headset, you want to see how some of the best games from the past years look in these new headsets. Lone Echo would be a great one to try. I've not actually tried any Oculus games in the Pimax CRYSTAL yet, I don't think. I'm just trying to think now, did I try anything? I'm not sure. But yeah, Lone Echo I want to get into, if I can get that working in the CRYSTAL. I'm not even sure if some of those Oculus games will work with the CRYSTAL. But we'll give it a try anyway. And yeah, there's a lot of value in going back to some of the highest quality older VR titles, and that's what I want to get into. Some of the other ones I want to try in the Pimax CRYSTAL, actually. I was just going through my library today, and I was looking at some stuff. So Kayak VR, I've not really been into, although, well, very briefly, but not properly in the CRYSTAL. Moss Book 2, I want to try in the CRYSTAL as well, because some of these titles, you can ramp up the resolution scaling and still have a great experience. Yeah, I would highly recommend people trying this one again. Don't dismiss it just because it's not quite as doesn't have all the VR mechanics that we would like, or that some of the settings are a little bit limited, because I still think it's very worthwhile trying this one. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Just a very quick video, actually. I wanted to draw your attention to this one if you forgot about it, because you can't remember all the games that come out, and sometimes they do slip your memory. So this is one that's worth revisiting. But yeah, thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.